Hello, and welcome to another ohmTown Daily News Show. I am Mayor Watt. That that I can't believe after 53 episodes, I get it wrong again. That is ohmTown. Let me scroll up to the top. ohmTown Daily News Show is powered by ohmTown.com. It is a news aggregation site that I use in my daily life. I've used it for many, many years. That's why there's so many articles in there. It was private until I made it public for everybody. Go over to ohmTown.com, sign up, become a citizen of ohmTown, come over and hang out with me here on Twitch. I'm really considering going over to YouTube as well. If you are interested in me going over there, let me know. Either way, follow, like, everything, because I'm over at YouTube as well. And I'm on Twitter, and I have a TikTok, but I haven't done anything with it. And I'm here on Twitch. And the podcast, of course, exists, so you can always download that. Just do a search for ohmTown and it'll pull me up. Well, it'll pull up ohmTown. It won't pull me up. It'll just pull up ohmTown. Anyway, right out of the gate, the very first article, I stopped. I had gone in the past 24 hours and gathered a bunch of articles, and then I just kind of stopped here. And lo and behold, Amber Heard's attorney says that she'll appeal the Johnny Depp verdict. They're going to appeal the Johnny Depp verdict, and they're saying that the jury was swayed by social media vitriol. No, that's really not what swayed them. At least we can all have opinions, I suppose. And I watched it from beginning to end while I was working. I've had it on my big screen right here, just nonstop, really quiet, and every once in a while I'd hear something that was really awe-astonishing. Like at the very end of the trial, she said that the reason why that article was written was because of Johnny. I mean, she flat out made that statement. I'm sure we could find it if we went looking for it. And I'm rather astonished that she won anything, but at any rate, we'll see, and I'm sure it will be all the rage if it does get appealed. So many attorneys were streaming it on YouTube. I Every once in a while I would just watch one later in the day. But that's not what today's news is about. Today's news is about the 20 or so articles that I've already went running around looking for. Why is everything off a little bit? That's weird. Anyway, let's get into today's news. The very first article is Ford plans to add 6,200 jobs in Ohio, Michigan, and Missouri, which is wonderful. Supposedly there's 11 million jobs out there that are not filled. Well, I don't think you're going to fill them until either people are struggling quite a bit or you pay them adequately. And I'm not talking about the edge cases, like people that are working for Google that are making $300,000 a year. That's because they have, first off, specialist skills. Not everybody is a programmer, software engineer. The terms change somewhat, but if you are an engineer of some type and you're working for Google, yeah, you are pretty much supposed to be the pinnacle. These are very high flying corporations with their spoons in a lot of soup. So of course, specialized skill, you get specialized pay, but that's not what most companies are paying. Just like attorneys make bank, but they're also doing 100-hour work weeks, 2,000 plus hours, billable hours, not to mention all the time that's dedicated to accruing momentum to be able to bill 2,000 plus hours. There's a lot of people that are underpaid, while there are people that are getting paid 200 million in total compensation packages. Let's click the link. It'll take us over to ABC News, And Tom Krisher and Patrick Orsagos from the Associated Press did this article, basically talking about how the company is going to build more electric vehicles, build more plants. It says, again, Ford will add 6,200 factory jobs in Michigan, Missouri, Ohio, as it plans to build more electric vehicles and roll out 2 redesigned combustion engine models. And it will invest $3.7 billion in the 3 states between now and 2026. So this is about the next 4 years, not tomorrow. And it says that it will also convert about 3,000 temporary workers to full-time status with pay raises and benefits. So we'll see what the pay raises and benefits are. I'm sure people will be talking about it. As part of its plan to be able to make 2 million electric vehicles per year globally by 2026. So there's lots of little caveats in there. Ford stopped taking reservations for the F-150 Lightning at 200,000, and it's now converting reservations to orders. About 2/3 of those contacted so far are converting, but the company said it didn't have an exact number. I'm waiting for one called the Canoe electric vehicle, which got a deal with the USPS. Not sure what will come of that, but we'll keep an eye out. So good on you, Ford. But 6,200 is a baby step forward. The next article is about gaming. So the best PC racing wheel in 2022. Those over at PC Gamer did an article on it. And it's over in the Warcrafters channel. That's a channel within ohmTown that focuses on first-person shooters, real-time sims, role-playing games, and more, but that's basically the summary of it. But let's click the link. It'll take us over to PC Gamer. It was an article written by Jacob Ridley, and there you have it. There's some pictures. I think it's pronounced fanatic, but who knows? Somebody will probably say that it's pronounced GIF. But anyway, the number one is the Fanatic Gran Turismo DD Pro. And then there's the Thrustmaster T48, T300, RSGT edition, then the Logitech G923, which is the wheel that I had. I sold it, and whoever bought it from me got a hell of a deal. And then the Thrustmaster TMX. So if I were to do it all over again, which I certainly might, I might just go with this one. Because it's kind of a one and done thing. Once you have a wheel, you largely don't need to replace it or upgrade or anything like that until you are wanting of something more specialized, more, I don't know, reactive or precise or something like that. But the Fanatic GT DD Pro seems to be all you need as a gamer in racing car games. So how much is it? Let's see. I'm really curious. I haven't looked up the numbers for a little while, and I don't know if it's on there. I don't see it on there. They have a today's best deals button, but I'm not going to click it. I'll let you do that. So go over to PC Gamer and show Jacob Ridley that you like what is being produced over at PC Gamer. The next article is in the mobile channel, and internal documents show Amazon's dystopian system for tracking workers every minute of their shifts infamously, Amazon punishes and sometimes fires warehouse workers who it believes are wasting time at work. At some point, you just make it all automated. If you have to police human beings this much, then you're basically treating everybody as a robot anyway. Just replace. And they have a thing called time off task. So a new filing obtained by Motherboard gives detailed insight into how Amazon tracks and records every minute of time off task, which it calls TOT, with radio frequency handheld scanners that warehouse associates use to track customer packages. The documents filed with the National Labor Relations Board, or NLRB, as part of a dispute at the recently unionized Amazon warehouse in Staten Island called JFK 8, revealed that workers can receive a written warning for accumulating 30 minutes of time off task. I just think that it's disgusting, but you don't become a billionaire and send people off into space by treating everybody humanely, apparently. This is an article over at vice.com, and it's written by Lauren Cowrie Gurley, Gurley. And a lot of their stuff is automated, moving things from one place to another typically. Packing tends to take a little bit of finesse and fine motor skills. At some point, that too will be replaced, or the human aspect of it will be replaced by robots that do have that fine motor skills. I'm not sure why or what is necessarily human controlled. I'd have to, I suppose, subject myself to going there and looking for myself, which I wouldn't be able to go in anyway. Or people can tell me about it. That would be great if somebody from Amazon came and talked to me about it. But that probably won't win me any prizes here on Twitch. At any rate, a set of guidelines for TOT, time off task, reveals that Amazon asked managers at JFK 8 in 2019 to use a tracking tool every shift to identify a top offender, the person who accumulated the most time in a task or time off task in a shift, as calculated by inactivity on their item scanner. The manager was then required to ask the top offender about their whereabouts for each time stamp registered in the system as unproductive and discipline them when appropriate. Each shift managers use the top tool to identify and engage the top offender per manager, the guidelines say. Yep. Hey, I guess it's not mining coal. Wow, is that minute, second? Is that? Okay, hold on. I'm trying to see. Worker went to the floor 1 and was sent to floor 2. Worker was in the bathroom. Worker had equipment issue verified with whatever their process assessment is. These are like little explanations for why people were off task. Worker does not remember. Okay, that person was probably drawn and quartered, right? I'm not quite sure. I'm trying to verify that that's not like, that's minutes, seconds, and partial seconds, right? Or is that hours, minutes, and seconds? That can't be hours, minutes, and seconds. Because that would be like just amazingly unproductive. 4 hours and 5 minutes in 54 seconds. But still, if these are fractions of a second, and these are seconds, and these are minutes, a minute of downtime is being tracked. All right. Yeah, right? I mean, it looks like it's a bunch of minutes. Wow. That's wild. But again, like I said at the beginning of this, you don't become a billionaire by treating people as human. Apparently, I'm not a billionaire. I treat people with respect, and I don't treat them as if they are just robots. So anyway, let's continue on. The next article is in the Reality Hacker channel. Allegedly leaked Project Cambria files could reveal internal design. Meta is still pretty camera shy when it comes to showing off Project Cambria, the company's upcoming high-end VR headset. Let's click the link and go over to Road to VR. Again, I always rave about them because I'm very interested in VR and AR, and I can't wait to see if Apple's going to drop AR glasses. That would be amazing. Please, AR or VR. Either way, I'll probably end up going that route. Hopefully they are non-denominational, I guess you could say. Or hopefully they work on PC. Although I have Apple products, in many cases I don't have an extremely powerful system. Um, yeah, because my main interface is really PC. At any rate, if this is the design of it, I think it's really interesting. But still bulky, big, clunky. I, I don't know. I think we can do better, but it takes time. You have to micronize the technology. It has to evolve over time. You may notice a wire on the right side of the device in one of the pictures. It's sort of coiled curved. This is the power delivery wire that connects the battery to in the back to the head strap, through the head strap to the HMD, the head mounted display up front. That's what the article says. Go over to Road to VR and read the articles that Scott Hayden wrote. Let's see here. Lynch previously released a render of the alleged production version of Cambria back in April. However, he says that some of those details were misinterpreted with the leaked files. Lynch says that there's a few key items he noticed that are included in the upcoming headset that weren't previously apparent. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be very Halo-like. It's going to not have a top strap and just kind of cup the forehead and the back of your head, sit on you like a crown. Cool. Let's get it done. Now, stop tracking everything that I do. I mean, it's meta after all. The next article, I'm going to continue on. The next article is in the Mobile channel toward 4D printing with structural colors. The colors in the world around us are produced through either absorption of light or by molecules, pigmentary colors, or scattering of light by nanostructures, structural colors. Nature provides many, pardon me. Nature provides many spectacular examples of structural color. The bright colors of some butterflies, beetles, fish, or birds. Think peacocks. I saw a stick bug the other day. This isn't part of the article. And the stick bug was like iridescent blue. It was over on Reddit. Thought it was really awesome. I want a stick bug now. At any rate, structural coloration occurs on surfaces with a nanostructure with dimensions similar to those of the wavelength of the incident of light, typically below a micron. These ordered nanostructures are known as photonic crystals. Let's click the link. It'll take us over to phys.org. And there you go. Towards 4D printing with structural colors by Eindhoven University of Technology. Stimuli-responsive colors are a unique characteristic of certain animals, evolved as either a method to hide from enemies and prey or to communicate their presence to rivals or mates. Chameleons, for instance, have the remarkable ability to exhibit complex and rapid color changes. Octopi or octopuses have the same feature. Others actually, and this isn't in the article, that last sentence, I add my own commentary, I guess, at times. And in terms of like the stick bug, apparently it's not poisonous, but it is so brilliantly colored that other insects might think that it is poisonous because it looks like something else that might be poisonous. There's a technical scientific term for it, but I've forgotten it. Anyway, chameleons, for instance, have the remarkable ability to exhibit complex and rapid color changes. Researchers found out that the color changes take place via the active tuning of a lattice of nanocrystals present in a superficial layer of dermal cells called iridophores. Sorry, I kind of munged that word there. Other structural colors in nature have been found to be responsive to chemicals or to humidity. Really interesting article. They have a tarantula sitting. It's a picture of a tarantula sitting on the page. So if you do follow that link, be careful if you're triggered by spiders. Maybe I should warn you before you click the link. I thought this one was interesting because I haven't seen anything like that here in the States. But manhole explosions send one person to a hospital, forcing evacuations. Authorities say two manhole explosions in downtown Boston here in the States have forced the evacuation of two buildings, poured smoke into the streets, and sent one person to the hospital with burns. What's going on there? Let's click the link. It'll take us over to ABC News and an article by the Associated Press. Won't read the whole thing, but it says the explosions, which also shattered windows, were reported around 8:30 a.m. near the High Street and Federal Street area in the financial district. The causes, the cause, remains under investigation, but Deputy Fire Chief Brian Tully said at a news conference at the scene that there may have been an overpressure situation. That's usually an explosion. Yeah. Well, a weakness in a system that has an overpressure situation might cause an explosion, sure. The Boston Fire Department said in a tweet that two buildings were evacuated and one person was taken to a hospital by emergency medical services, and the woman suffered burns, possibly from steam. Yeah, that's pretty bad and unfortunate. Well, I hope they find a resolution for that so that people can feel safe in the area again. The next article is over in the Continuity Report. As Ezra Miller scandals mount, what option does Warner Brothers have for The Flash? Yeah, this is unfortunate. So, Warner Brothers had high hopes for The Flash, the upcoming comic book adventure, which completed production in 2021 and is scheduled for its debut in the theaters in 2023, has been extraordinarily well received in early test screenings, according to sources close to the movie. Given DC Films' rocky track record and fielding commercial hits, that initial reception is probably great. But issues with Ezra Miller apparently are growing. Rebecca Rubin is the author over at Variety.com for this article. I haven't really been keeping up with Ezra Miller, but I know that there have been some issues. It says there's one glaring issue. Miller can't seem to stay out of trouble. In recent months, the actor's been arrested or taken into custody several times for harassment, disorderly conduct, and a traffic violation. Around the same time, two Hawaii residents filed a temporary restraining order against Miller after they allegedly broke into the couple's bedroom and tried to steal their passports and wallets. After they? Okay. Okay, wait. Are they referring to Miller as they? Is that their pronoun? I suppose. I don't know. Though the restraining order was later dropped, their continued behavior has prompted serious unease about the people they have endangered, as well as Miller's own health and well-being. Those incidents took place nearly 2 years after footage surfaced of Miller appearing to choke a woman outside a bar in Iceland. It's hardly kind of attention that a movie studio wants for a star of a $200 million budgeted tentpole. Wow. Well, I think that this is going to be an ongoing concern, and anything having to do with DC right now needs to do some smoke and mirrors away from Amber Heard and Johnny Depp's trial, and that doesn't seem to be ending soon. Okay, so the next article, I'm going to move on to the next article. I just got pulled away for a split second there. Like I said, mayor is a busy job and volunteer. So, TomTom says new automation tools are so good it will lay off 500 people. This is something that I am always anticipating. This is in the Mobile channel. That's where it was aggregated from Vice.com. TomTom, the Dutch map company that used to be known for the portable GPS devices found in many cars before the advent of smartphones, announced an improvement in our map-making technology, they say in a press release on Wednesday. Harold Godin, I guess, or Godian, the company's CEO, is quoted as saying higher levels of automation and integration of a variety of digital sources will result in fresher and richer maps with wider coverage. regrettably, the company said in its press release, this will have an intended impact. Okay. On approximately 500 employees in our maps unit, equivalent to around 10% of our total global headcount. Not sure why it matters that it's 10%, probably to allay fears that it's collapsing or something, but it's not really solving the problem for these 500 employees that are getting laid off due to automation. Aaron Gordon is the author of this article over at vice.com. I haven't bought a TomTom or GPS device ever, nor have I even used a vehicle GPS. I've always used my smartphone. Just punch it in and off you go. Anyway, yeah, they're going to let go of 500 people. And this is what I tell people. If your job can be exploited by technology to make your life easier, then whoever is employing you is already thinking of replacing you. It's on their radar. All they have to do is make economic sense for the enterprise and thus themselves. Because if an administrator or executive can figure out a way to eliminate longer term burdens, which humans are, because they have to be retrained, they have to be hired, there's taxes, there's salary, there's payroll, healthcare, et cetera, right? There was an old school statement that you had to be an ongoing concern, you had to create jobs. Really, you had to keep on adding people to your enterprise because it showed that you were actually growing in a way more than just financial. Well, that's been flying out the door more and more in terms of that concept of growth, because what really comes down to is, can you produce enough that people are buying and your company is growing financially? They don't care about anything else as long as you're growing financially. You need to be an ongoing concern. You need to be solvent. So, since the decline of the standalone GPS devices, TomTom pivoted once again to selling its map services directly to car manufacturers for their own vehicle infotainment systems, the one most every driver ignores for CarPlay or Android Auto instead. True. Let's go on to the next article. This one is in the mobile channel. The pivot to Web3 is going to get people hurt. This is a Vice article again. It can feel at times as if the entire world is pivoting to Web3, and the question is why. There are suddenly Web3 media companies, Web3 advertising firms, Web3 studios, Web3 marketing tactics, and Web3 publishing networks. It was the same thing with Web 2.0. LimeWire and MoviePass have risen from the dead, newly powered, as one of their CEO puts it, by Web3 technologies. Web3 apparently is not only transforming gaming and re-engineering real estate, but also the future of the internet, and maybe the entire global economy as well. Never mind that very few people can agree exactly on what Web3 is and isn't. What matters is investors in that Web3 is the hot new thing, and entrepreneurs. It's easier to wrap your head around Web3 as basically the augmented, more immersive web. Yeah, that's pretty much where I would frame it. So let's visit the source. Goes over to vice.com. And this is a long article. Wow. So the Web3 hysteria has continued this year, even as the tech industry more broadly has struggled, and rising interest rates and plummeting share prices. Kind of odd. In the last 6 months, it's gotten fairly ridiculous, said one partner at a crypto-focused investment firm. In the first 3 months of the year, the top 15 venture firms poured money into Web3 and DeFi. Early and seed stage deals than any other area. The third straight quarter they have done so, according to the research firm PitchBook. $2 billion from top firms last quarter. Okay. Well, I hope they don't mind losing a lot. To some, like Andreessen Horowitz, what ties these innovations together is that they collectively offer a theoretical vision for where people have the ability to own a piece of the internet, for example, through the use of NFTs. No, you don't own anything, particularly if it belongs to somebody else. Literally, you don't own anything on the internet unless you are the one that actually owns the hardware, the software, the equipment. Even with an NFT, it's basically just a virtual license for a digital possession. And what is the value of it when it collapses? We haven't seen that yet. But somebody who releases an NFT can make some serious money. But that's all fear of missing out. That's okay. I've heard other people already tell me that, oh, well, it's just you're not making any money in NFTs and that's why you're against it. Well, I'm not really against it. I just don't see my ethics don't allow me to take advantage of things like that. Anyway, so this is a really long article. I'll have to come back and read more of it because it really is a deep dive into it. So I would encourage you to go over to vice.com and do a search for The Pivot to Web3 is Going to Get People Hurt by Maxwell Strachan or Strachan. Or Strahan, Strachan, and it was published today. So go check it out. The next article is in the Order of the Bean, which is a channel and show about coffee. Sweet, sweet science. Even sugary coffee drinks make you live longer. Bad news for alternative sweetener crowd. So this is an article over at Sprudge, written by Zach Cadwallader. If you're reading this, there are two things you can reasonably assume about you. One, you like and probably drink coffee. Yes, I do. And not all get Cartesian here, but two, you exist. Funny. You're alive in some capacity or another. Turns out these two ostensibly unrelated facts about you may be anything, but as a new study finds that coffee drinkers are associated with a lower risk of death even if they drink sugary coffees. I suppose so. As reported by NBC News, the new research was published earlier this week in the journal Annals of Internal Medicine and was undertaken by doctors at the Jinan University and Southern Medical University, both in Guangzhou, China. They monitored 170,000 participants in the UK Biobank. The participants who were tracked from a period between 2009 and 2018 had to have no instances of cardiovascular disease or cancer. How did they track 170,000 people? And those people were voluntarily and informed? Interesting. All right. For the study, associations were observed regardless of the coffee being instant ground or decaf. Coffee drinkers who opted for artificial sweetener, interestingly enough, had a less consistent association between consumption and mortality rates. Oh, artificial sweeteners are going to be the downfall of me. No, I don't have artificial. I don't drink anything artificial now. I don't drink. The soft drinks are the only thing that I had artificial sweetener in. I never had sweetener in my coffees. But at any rate, drink coffee how you like it. Ta-da! But there has been some concern about artificial sweeteners. Let's go to the next article. That's in the Daily News Show, which is this show. It just happens to be a channel as well over on ohmTown.com. Wildly lawless. Ohio set up to use map deemed unconstitutional by state Supreme Court. Ohio Republicans have chosen to pass unconstitutional maps again and again and blatantly ignore the will of the voters in order to protect their seats. This is an article over at commondreams.org. I always mention that I think that their headlines are inflammatory. It's my perception. It's very subjective. You may not think so, but I do think so. And this is an article over at commondreams.org by Kenny Stansel. I value reading the material regardless of what I think is inflammatory headlines. Mainly because I want to challenge what might be a preconceived notion as to what the content is, based on a headline or something like that. There are some times where I know the efficacy of the article, and not necessarily Common Dreams, but anywhere, just doesn't hold up to any form of logic straight off the start. But when there's evidence and it's supported by other research and not just anecdote or whatever, um, then I value the input, even if it might be contradictory to what I actually think, based on other information. But I don't discount something wholesale just because it comes from a particular website, unless it has a history in basically stating things that aren't fact, stating things that are opinion as fact, or outright lying. So it says, when Ohio voters head to the polls on August 2nd for a special primary election, the state legislative candidates on the ballot will be running under districts deemed unconstitutional by the state Supreme Court. Ohio struck down proposed state legislative districts as illegal Republican gerrymandering on 5 separate occasions. But a federal court is poised to implement a previously rejected set of maps, as its Saturday deadline is expected to pass without action from right-wing lawmakers in charge of the redistricting process. So there have always been these claims that the election is stolen and that there is manipulation going on. But the only time I ever see this manipulation that is outside of openness, inclusion, and transparency is when it comes from things like this. And I don't understand how. Well, I understand it, when you're an echo chamber and you can get away with it because things happen in the dark, and I think abuse happens in the dark. It doesn't happen out in broad daylight. And when it does, it's only through death by 1,000 cuts. You end up just getting burnt out because it's just, pecked again and again and again and again. Well, I think this is what's happening. So it was rejected again and again and again. And then when they look back, they go, well, let's use this. This is the least offensive of whatever it might be. And so it says, in a 2-1 ruling, U.S. 6th Circuit, Court of Appeals Judge Amul Thapar and U.S. Western District of Kentucky Judge Benjamin Beaton, both appointees of former President Donald Trump, said that if the state failed to act, it would implement the Redistricting Commission's third map proposal, which was approved by Ohio Republicans in late February and rejected by the Ohio Supreme Court in mid-March. Yeah, again, if you only have the undo button that can go back 3 levels, then you're stuck with whatever screwed up, whatever was proposed. That seems to be this. So, yeah, I take is what was one side accusing the other side, and basically every claim of offense is actually a statement of their own actions. So it's every accusation is a confession, essentially, based on what I see from one side of the political spectrum. And it's quite unsettling. So, Ohio Supreme Court Chief Justice Maureen O'Connor, a Republican and former lieutenant governor of the state, joined the court's 3 Democratic judges in striking down the Redistricting Commission's plans. So at least somebody has an ethical compass. That makes sense. So let's continue on to the next article. You can read more about it by following the show notes. And I urge you to. It doesn't have to be applicable to your particular state for you to see that this might be something that others might do in concert. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to think of it as conspiracy. You have to think of it as, this is basically getting done in one state, why would it stop somebody from doing it in another state where there is an echo chamber of a particular ideology? And while I've had people come to me and say, well, you're proposing a particular ideology, I am, but my particular ideology is openness, inclusion, equity, opportunity. It's open arms and transparent. It's talking with people and seeing if you can find common ground. Not a silo, not an echo chamber, not a vertical of control, not an ostracization, not an ostracizing of an entire people, whatever you think they are. It is, my ideology is quite the opposite. I want everybody engaged. I want everybody with a voice. I want everybody having an opportunity, equity, inclusion. It doesn't matter, you know, race, religion, gender, anything. It just doesn't matter to me. I want everybody involved. The only time I don't want anybody, a particular person involved, is when you're a complete tool. When you are so horrendous to be around, when you are so horrendous and abusive and that it's almost comical, then I don't want you around. And you're not really a member of society when you act like that. You're violating the contract of being a member of society. And so, no, you you're not going to be able to sit down and have a beer with somebody because you're like that. Different animal, different animal. It's the content of your character that I have a problem with, not a particular bent. It's not a particular political bent. It's everything that makes up the person beyond just the, hey, I think that the government should have a smaller budget or something like that. Well, all of the benefits that have given us everything that we have at our disposal today is because of government and enterprise and society working together to make it all happen. Not a silo, not a vertical, not just one. And nobody, okay, well, I'm going to end up on a soapbox. I just can't do this. Anyway, the Hatch Ideas channel had an article aggregated from Business Insider. It's called One Chart Compares How Much Gas Prices Have Skyrocketed in different regions of the U.S. in the last 2 years. I'm just going to click the link and take you over there. And it's an article by Madison Hoff. It says it's getting more and more expensive to fill the tank. Yes. I've seen $7 on some signs now. Using weekly data, we look at how much gas prices have increased since 2020. The West Coast is seeing the highest gas prices per gallon compared to other areas of the country. True. As Americans continue to pay more at gas stations, weekly data shows how much prices have soared over time throughout different parts of the U.S. I had somebody else post in another website somewhere, and I don't have the chart, but at any rate, they made all of these assertions that it's the president that did certain things and the prices increased. And I can guarantee you the prices would have increased regardless of all of these various things. And there were about 12 things that were being attributed to President Biden. And this is all greed. It's all trying to do recovery of losses, even in the face of record profits by these same companies. Record profits. Okay, over the pandemic, record profits. Last year, record profits. Massive compensation, total compensation to CEOs and to others in the C-suite and to investors, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Record profits, and more are going to come in 2022. But it's born from this. It's born from this. I think that we are going to see prices higher by September, October, November, than $7 for gas. in some places. So the West Coast, such as California, Nevada, Washington, Arizona, Oregon, Alaska, and Hawaii, is seeing the highest price per gallon. Hawaii, I understand. It's basically a micronation out in the ocean. It has limited uh, inputs, so of course it's going to be more costly to deliver fuel. It basically is one destination. Alaska, same thing. It's much more rugged. It's much more difficult to provide solution out there. I understand that prices can go up. I don't think that they should be as high as they are right now, but it is what it is. It should nobody should be paying this high of a price. It should all be somewhere around $2.50 a gallon. But that's just me. And again, I'll say it like I said it at the beginning of this. I'm not a billionaire, and therefore I treat people with respect. And I would never be this, in my opinion, predatory. I think that it's predatory. So far, the pent-up urge to travel caused by the pandemic outweighs high pump prices for many consumers. Andrew Gross, the AAA spokesperson, said per the AAA newsroom. But 67% of drivers recently surveyed told us that they would change their driving habits if gas hit $4.50. Regardless, if you're being told that you have to come into your office now, even though for the last 2.5 years you've been able to telework, you're going to be spending $4.50 a gallon. And your salary isn't going to go up because the price of gas has gone up. You don't get paid to drive into work. You get paid to clock in at X time, work until Y time, and leave. It's nobody prices their enterprise so that you're compensated for fuel. You're compensated for the work that you produce, much to the dismay of another couple of articles that I've read over the last couple of days saying otherwise. Well, if you're going to telework, then you should get paid less. No, that's not how it works. I should get paid more because I'm capable of working elsewhere. The next article is over in the continuity report. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam gets the Funko Pop treatment. Let me post this here in the chat. In October, Dwayne Johnson will transform into Black Adam for his first role in the DC Universe, but before he makes his on-screen debut as the infamous anti-hero, the sworn nemesis of Shazam, The Rock will be miniaturized in the form of everyone's favorite Funko Pop collectibles. Dun dun dun. Let's take a look at them. That's it? Yeah. Anna Tingley, I guess, is the last name. Over at Variety did the article, and they've got a screenshot of the Funko Pops, and it says in October he'll transform into Black Adam, and it includes vinyl figures of Justice Society of America members Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, Cyclone, and the villain Sabak. The upcoming DC feature adaptation has been in the works for more than a decade. Johnson begins circling the roles for Black Adam and Shazam as early as 2007, and the actor is set to play the superhero in 2014 Shazam, but after a plot change, he only appeared as a magical holograph in a short scene. In the upcoming film, the 11th in the DC Universe, Johnson will star as the infamous villain, as he is freed from his earthly tomb 5,000 years ago after being bestowed with powers. Neat. And, well, I want that one right there. Black Adam on a throne. That's pretty awesome. Oh, I could put that right back there. I want to put little shelves up right there, but that would actually impact my light show, and I like having a rave behind me. Okay, maybe not. Hawkman in a cruiser. That's pretty neat. Okay, well, anyway, you can go over to Variety and read the rest of this and take a look at the pictures. I can't do it justice in a podcast, and I don't want to show everything from an article on the stream. So, motivate you to go over and take a look at it, and then come on back and tell me what you think of these Funko Pops. I love Funko Pops. I don't know why. Normally, I'm not into just things, but I actually have a bunch sitting over here on my unboxing table, which I haven't done any unboxings yet. But if you have something you want me to take a look at, send it to me. Okay, let's go over to the next article. And that is the continuity report as well. There was an appeal of the sexual assault conviction, but it was upheld against Harvey Weinstein. The New York Appeals Court has upheld Harvey Weinstein's conviction on rape and sexual assault charges, rejecting arguments that the trial judge effectively rigged the outcome in favor of the prosecution. In a unanimous ruling issued on Thursday, a 5-judge appellate panel found that the judge did not make errors that would warrant overturning the verdict. This is an article over at Variety.com, and it's by Gene Medeiros. And for all intents, people are saying that this was so well deserved that it would be laughable to try and get it overturned. So there was apparently enough evidence, and this isn't a case that I watched or read too much about, but it says the appeals court rejected both arguments in its 45-page ruling, finding that Burke had acted within his discretion in allowing both types of evidence. They had argued that Weinstein was effectively blocked from testifying in his own defense because prosecutors had been given permission to bring up 28 other incidents, including bullying and physical violence, to impeach his testimony. Well, I mean, if it sets up a pattern of behavior, yeah, you're supposedly not allowed to use past behavior to do that, but it sets up a pattern. Anyway, 28 other bad incidents, including bullying and physical violence. Yeah, I don't know. That's quite a bit to say that it would bias. Because if it's all true and it's substantiated in questioning, yeah, I think that it's fine to let in. So Weinstein was convicted in February 2020, and he's currently housed at the Twin Towers Correctional Facility in Los Angeles, where he awaits trial on 11 additional sex crimes charges. Wow. I'm sure he's just misunderstood, right? So the next article is in the Word in Tech. Ring raised its subscription prices without warning, and your users are furious. I used to use Ring. I'm not a fan of it anymore, and once you start an account, you're kind of stuck with it, right? And so I uninstalled the app just the other day because I kept getting telemetry from being part of Ring as a user. So I canceled my subscription, and for the most part, I got tired of it. Constantly being billed. I've actually switched to a completely different platform, and because of my nature, I don't really like hyping it up or talking about it. So if you're curious, you can get in touch with me, and I'll let you know what I use. But I would prefer not talking about it. My solution is more expensive in the initial output, but I have no subscription. So, it records everything 365 days a year. And I don't pay anything more. I will be upgrading my doorbell if somebody is interested in buying it. Works perfectly, but I want to do the pro version of it. So at any rate, let's click the link. It'll take us over to David Pierce, who wrote this article for TheVerge.com. LOL's giving us more crap we don't need for more money. Ring raised its subscription prices without warning, and owners are furious. So Ring announced a handful of new features for its Ring Protect Basic plan this week. Subscribers will get access to 180 days, up from 60. Some more alert options, and the promise of a lot of coming soon features. The catch, it comes at a price. The price of the Basic Protect is going up starting in July to $3.99 a month or $40 a year in the US. Until now, it's been $3 a month, so it's going up 33%. Existing customers will see the price jump whenever their subscription renews after that. For some ring owners, the increase will be steeper than it sounds. The basic Protect plan only covers one device. Then the next cheapest ring plan, Protect Plus, covers all of your devices. And I was doing this. I was paying $100 a month, even though I only had one. And say a doorbell, a nursery cam, your in-home drone. It was cheaper to have 3 separate plans. Anyway, yep, there you go. You Ring customers, and I didn't like the Ring. My version of the Ring seemed to have an issue with its finish. So the last article for today is in the Hatch Ideas channel. This is kind of a merging of all 3 of the concepts that I talk about, which is business, technology, and society. The new rules, which limit outdoor watering to once a week, impact more than 6 million residents in Southern California because of unprecedented water restrictions that are going to begin in Southern California as the drought worsens. Let's click the link. It'll take us over to CNBC, and their key points are sweeping restrictions on outdoor water. Sorry, one second. One of these days, I'll just log in. Water use go into effect on, so let me restart that. So sweeping restrictions on outdoor water use go into effect on Wednesday for more than 6 million residents in Southern California as officials work to conserve water amid a severe drought. The new rules set by the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California limit outdoor watering to once a week in many jurisdictions. The mega drought in the U.S. West has produced the region's driest 2 decades in at least 1,200 years. And this is going to lead to fires, plain and simple, as things dry out, and everything from lightning strikes to dumb people who start a fire somewhere to, I don't know, do a gender reveal party or something. It doesn't matter how absurd you get, somebody will have done it. The reason why plastic bags have don't place overhead is because somebody did it. Anyway, the conservation rules, among the strictest ever imposed in the state, were set by the Metropolitan Water District of Southern California, one of the largest water distributors in the country. The goal is to slash water use by 35%. So you're all going to have to be, what is it? There's a little mouse. Pardon me a moment. There's some mouse that synthesizes water all on its own. So we're all going to have to turn into that little mouse. It's some endangered mouse. Anyway, I don't know why I started talking about that, but there we are. You're all going to have to change your ways. And a lot of things in California need to move out of California and move into climates that are better positioned. Trees and stuff like that, almond trees and other plants that take a ton of water, animals, food sources that take a ton of water need to be moved out of California, for crying out loud, people. It's a desert. It's not, you shouldn't be having everything concentrated in California. It's taking all of the drinkable water, and it's not going to have a good outcome in the coming years of environmental change. You might as well start preparing for it now. And everybody in California should probably be growing food in their basement. Well, they don't have basements for the most part. But you should probably be growing aquaponics in your own house so that you can mitigate all of that water issues. Open air watering of plants is an absurd concept to me, at least in California. All of it evaporates. Anyway, this is an article over at CNBC that sweeping water restrictions begin in Southern California as drought worsens. That was written by Emma Newberger. over at cnbc.com. So follow the link, go over there, check it out. And that's it for today. Today's ohmTown Daily News Show. Let me refresh that front page. I'm trying to get some work done on it. I actually have the ability to make it a real-time thing. As something comes in, it's automatically displayed. But I have some custom code that keeps things running smoothly in a certain way. And the automatic display keeps breaking because of it. So this is kind of the best case scenario right now. Rather fast and efficient. At any rate, thanks for coming. Again, I am Mayor Watt. I'm the mayor of ohmTown. That's ohmTown.com. Thanks for coming by, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.